Well, good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the West Haymarket JPA to order. To my right is Councilman Tom Beckius. I am Mary Lorraine Gaylor-Baird. Regent Tim Clare will not be with us today. This is a meeting subject to the State Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is located at the back of the chamber. As we proceed, the clerk will call each item on the agenda, and then first we'll have a staff member come up and elaborate on the agenda item. After that, we'll take public comment. And if each speaker interested in commenting could please state their name and address, be reminded that testimony is limited to 5 minutes, we'd be grateful. And with that, I'd ask Casey to please call the first item.
Approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held April 25th, 2024.
Move approval, Beckius.
Second. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes?
No, ma'am.
All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item is bill number WH24-28, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Theatrical Media Services for lighting fixtures for the Pinnacle Bank Arena catwalk for a total amount not to exceed $28,818.20.
Good afternoon, Chris Connolly, City Law Department. This is all the items on the agenda today are contracts to do various repairs or replacements of things in the building as the building continues to age and things start to wear out a little bit. And so this is part of it. This is for lighting in the concourse area in addition to the catwalk. And if there are specific questions, there are people here from ASM Global that can answer the questions, but otherwise we would ask for your approval.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions.
No questions, thank you.
Here.
Would anyone like to comment on this item? Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none.
I would move approval
Okay.
of this of 24-28.
Second. Would you please call the roll?
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next number is bill number WH24-29, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Electronic Contracting Company for fire alarm upgrades for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a total amount not to exceed $54,326 pursuant to bid number 24-108.
The blurb kind of describes it all. It's upgrades for an 11-year-old system, and there may be some additional alarms going in a couple of places, that kind of thing. Is there anything new? Yeah, a little bit. In any event, this is pretty standard equipment, so we would ask approval.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Any questions for Chris?
And it seems like that included in this is upgraded software throughout the process as well. Okay, very good. That was my only question.
Thank you. Would anyone like to testify on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Was this the fire marshal's idea?
To be honest with you, I guess I don't know. I doubt it was the fire marshal's idea, but I think that the staff over there recognized that some of this equipment was starting to break down and have some issues and decided it needed to be some replacement and upgrades.
This is replacing?
It's some replacement and some upgrades. It's a little bit of both.
How do you upgrade?
Better software, better monitoring devices, those kinds of things.
Okay.
The original equipment may not be available anymore.
Okay. Is it legal to have this meeting when one of the board members is absent?
Yes,
It
we have a
is.
quorum.
Okay. That's all that's necessary is a quorum?
Yes.
Would anyone else like to testify on this item? Seeing none, I entertain a motion on item 5.
Move approval of bill number WH24-29.
Second. Any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right, please call the roll, Casey.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item, bill number WH 24-30, resolution to approve a second amendment to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Interconnects for an increase of $30,000, bringing the total amount not to exceed to $95,000 for physical access and control system equipment and services for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to MOU 178.
So the Interconnects handles the card readers for everyone to get into the various buildings. And it's not just Pinnacle Bank Arena that this applies to, it's to all the buildings along here, anything that's operated by the Public Building Commission and the county and the city. So they're all jointly on this MOU. It was determined that some upgrades needed to be made at Pinnacle Bank Arena to add some additional monies. But some of it is for Pinnacle Bank Arena and some of it is for county, I believe, or some of the other entities. In any event, after we determined or figured that we were going to need $30,000 extra for this MOU, apparently it was determined that some additional monies may be necessary to be added again. And so next month, we will also be bringing back an amendment. This was already into the agenda by the time we were advised that more money was going to be needed. And so we felt like it was better to go ahead and do it now rather than waiting until next month for the whole thing. This way, some portions of the work that needs to be done either at Pinnacle Bank Arena or the other buildings can start now, and that we'll get it finished after the next round comes up next month. Sorry, that's kind of a complicated explanation, but this is it's an important part of the security features of Pinnacle Bank Arena and other buildings, and so we would ask approval.
Can I just ask, what do you have an understanding of the amount of additional funds you'll be requesting?
I believe it's another 45,000 is what we expect to be coming in next month.
Is there any, I understand the logistical problem with having this already on our agenda and then coming back, but are we in fact committing to it today with this vote because the first half is not actually a separate purchase from the second half, or is it something that the board would not be locked into in a future vote?
Well, we're doing one amendment now, and we're going to do another amendment next month. Is really kind of the plan. So there.
But the purchase itself, is it two separate purchases, or does one bind you to the next? Are you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't believe so. I think Ryan will probably be able to better explain the way this is laid out.
Ryan Weiss, Pinnacle Bank Arena. How are you? It's two separate purchases. Part of it is the whole access control system for the arena, which is 11 years old and we can't even get parts for it. And then the second part is the switches that help control those doors plus the whole entire security system throughout the arena. We are unable to use the network part of that without those switch parts. So.
Okay, let me ask it this way though.
Yeah.
If we were to approve this today but not approve the next amendment,
Mm-hmm.
would you have a workable system?
Theoretically, yes.
Okay, all right,
So.
thank you.
Yep.
All right, any further questions? Okay. Would anyone like to testify on this item, item 6, bill number 24-30?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So what are the other buildings that this is going to take care of?
Well, I can't tell you exactly which buildings that this amendment covers, but it generally covers these three buildings that are in a line here, here between 9th and 10th Street. And I don't have the full list of other buildings that this amendment is going to cover. All that the JPA is worried about is the piece that will apply to Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Right. So the other buildings are being taken care of financially by other units?
Well, they all jointly entered into this agreement.
Okay.
The county, the city, Public Building Commission, and a joint public agency jointly entered into this agreement with.
So
Interconnects.
there's a joint financial arrangement too?
Correct. Yes.
And that will be in the amendment also?
That there's a joint financial arrangement?
know that it will also say other buildings and so forth? Or is this the amendment only for the,
It's this 30,000, I think, will only apply to just Pinnacle Bank Arena.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
The amendment to the contract does state a relationship between the other parties as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Would anyone else like to testify on this item?
Seeing no one else, I would go ahead and move approval of Bill WH 24-30.
Second. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item, bill number WH 24-31, resolution to approve an amendment to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and REB Steel Equipment for an increase of $754.80, bringing the total amount not to exceed to $106,513.13 pursuant to change order number 1 for additional services for the storage loft at the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-242.
This is the storage loft in the back of the arena. This $754.80 is for the building permit that was issued by the city. I'm not sure I can explain how that didn't get covered somehow, but it's part of the change order, and we would ask approval.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to testify on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. I have a question about change orders. When these requests are put in, it's supposed to have been bid and it was the lowest bidder. When you have a change order, how does that show that it's within the bid price?
Well, there has to be approval from the JPA to do that, and that's part of the process we're doing now. They've asked for this increase to cover the building permit. Again, I'm not in a position to explain, and I don't know if there's somebody here that is able to explain how we got to this extra $754 that wasn't covered one way or another. But it's not a change in the scope. It's not like there's more work being done. The work has been done, but this building permit is the last piece that still needs to be covered.
Right. But when there's a change order, the original was a bid that was approved by the bidding process. I can't remember the people that do that here in the city. But that's been approved, and that's what was the lowest bid.
Right.
Okay. So when there's a change order, that adds more money to that amount.
That's correct.
So how does that figure then? It might not be the lowest bid, or has it been checked to be the lowest bid even with the change order?
Well, I don't know if it would change the order. I don't know if the next closest one was within $754. But at this point, since the work is all done, it wouldn't make any difference. It's not like we could go out and get the second lowest bidder to come in and do something.
Okay. So the ordinance is that there is a sway within the lowest bid?
No, there's no ordinance to that effect. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay, so that's just a city rule,
What's the city rule?
that it's the lowest bid when the bids are made.
The city and the JPA use the lowest responsible bidder.
Right. So if there is a change order, that is not the amount that it was originally approved as the lowest, right?
There is a different number, but the original contract is still the same. And if the change order is approved, it means that the contract can go to a different price, because in this case, there's not actually additional work being done, but there's an extra expense that's being added in.
Right, okay. So is there a guarantee that this will still be the lowest bid, even though more money has been added to the bid?
We're way past the bid stage, so I don't see how that, there's nothing there to look at.
Okay, but you are spending taxpayers' money, more taxpayers' money, which was not shown to be the lowest bid.
It would be, but it would be with the authority of the board.
And the board can change what the lowest bid is?
Well, they're not changing what the lowest bid is. The bid was the bid. But if they agree to allow some additional funding to pay for some piece of the contract, they're entitled to do that.
They are?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, would anyone else like to testify on this item?
Seeing no one else, I would go ahead and move approval of WH 24-31.
Second. Any further discussion? No? All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is bill number WH 24-32, resolution approving change order number 1 to the Vasa Construction contract to remove and replace damaged concrete under the Harris Overpass and add irrigation to landscaping along Canopy Street for an additional amount of $16,925.
This is for some of the kind of unfinished work just south of the Olson 2 building, if you will, but under the overpass. It's been kind of unfinished for a number of years, and so this will take care of that. There is some damaged concrete there now. This is where BNSF had been parking trucks for a long time, and so it's just time to go ahead and get this repaired and finished. We were waiting until the Canopy Park project was finished to do this kind of work, and so now it's time to get it done. So we would ask approval.
And you're anticipating that all other, you referenced Canopy Park, but all other construction in the area is substantially complete?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's anything else that still needs to be done in that area then.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to testify on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. As a general statement, it doesn't seem that the bidding process is the final say-so of how much will be spent on a certain item requested by the JPA. And if they are allowed as a board to simply put more money as requested, that it doesn't seem like it's gone through a process for the protection of the taxpayers' money, and also to spend it wisely, spend the money wisely. That's my comment.
Okay,
Nothing response. Okay.
no question.
Would anyone else like to testify on this item? Seeing none, I ask for
Move approval of WH 24-32.
second. Any further discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item, bill number WH 24-33, resolution approving change order number 1 to the Western Specialty Contractors contract for Pinnacle Bank Arena ramp control joint repair and crack repair for an additional amount of $30,004.16.
So this change order reflects what frequently happens when you start working on a building or a project that's been around for a number of years. You start doing some repairs, and all of a sudden you find a whole lot more repairs. And so that's what was discovered here on this. Caleb can give you the details on where these cracks and additional work are needed. But we already have somebody on site. It would make no sense to rebid just this work. And so we felt it was best to do a change order to encompass the new and additional work that's being done with this contract. And so with that, we would ask approval.
If you don't mind, I would like actually Caleb just to come up here and explain to us a little bit, because we've been seeing work done on this ramp, evaluating work to be done on this ramp, and just wanted to learn a little bit more about what What was
Absolutely.
discovered through this process?
Sure. Caleb Swanson, Project Control. Thanks for considering this today. So kind of as Chris outlined, Western Specialty is the contractor that was approved to do this work. They've been up there for about a month and a half now, doing a variety of different repairs. Just in general, what's kind of been discovered is nothing I would say new or concerning. It's just kind of more of what we had already kind of cataloged and what DLR as part of their study of the bridge had documented. Essentially, some of those amounts and quantities were just greater than what had been documented in the report. I will say that we did work with Western, and Western was agreeable to this because some of these quantities were increasing. The City of Lincoln specification does allow for a renegotiation of unit prices if quantities adjust by a certain percentage on a contract. And so Western worked with us to actually reduce their contract prices for some of these items.
Looks like it went from $731 per linear foot to $636.
Those are actually two different prices, so those aren't
Okay.
related. I should have had that with you. I don't have what the 636 was.
Okay.
As part of the original contract, but that does represent a lower number than what was originally bid essentially because of the efficiencies gained in doing more of the same work than they had planned. And so again, that is actually in the city standard specifications that the city can negotiate that, and they had no issue with.
Very good. And I'm assuming, Caleb, in your estimation, that there would be nothing from the DLR report that should have been discovered at that point in time.
I don't know. I don't think this was. I would not call this a negligence or anything on the part of DLR. This is like Chris said.
This is what happens.
You get into these rehab projects and you start doing some removals of damaged areas, and you find more. You uncover conditions that maybe weren't as exposed as they were previously. It's what you would call a cost of doing business with this kind of a project. The city, as an example, parking garage. The city did Eagle Garage, a renovation a couple of years ago, and there was a lot of these similar issues that Wayne, when he was here, experienced on that project. So it's what you get into sometimes with these rehabs. So,
Very good. Thank you, Caleb.
any other questions?
Thank you. Would anyone like to testify on this final item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. I guess what we'd like to say is that in Nebraska, when you make a commitment, verbal or written, you are honored to follow that. And I guess maybe I would have to have a legal opinion about this, but to a layperson, this does not seem correct. It also puts an awful lot of lack of transparency for the taxpayer, for the public, to know what is really going on. So you're not going to put that in the minutes anyway, because you don't put in what I say. But I hope the public is listening to this, and we'll bring it up again in talking about transparency, about careful expenditures of the taxpayers' money, and the fact that public officials have a duty to the public who elects them to have both of these traits in whatever they do.
Would anyone else like to testify on this item?
See no one else, I would go ahead and move approval of WH 24-33.
Second. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
I wanted to add a final comment. So before the next meeting date, I'll just say that, in general, repairs done at the arena are meant to protect the safety of the people who use that facility. And we take the safety of the public seriously. And when we hire people to do work, we don't expect them to do it for free. And if they need to do more work to protect the safety, we're going to pay them to do that work. And with that, I would ask Casey to outline the next meeting dates for us.
Casey, officially I voted yes on that last item.
Okay, sorry,
Yep.
I didn't hear you. Okay, so the next meeting date will be held Thursday, August 29th, 2024, at 2:30 PM here in council chambers.
All right.
All right, seeing no other business, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
And I would second it. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.